Okay, everyone. Welcome back to the second episode of the Zero's Political Hellscape recorded debate series. Today's topic, we don't actually know. It could either be imperialism, any general topic of imperialism, or it could be on the ethics of taxation. Hold on.
Well,
what's voted on more?
can you repeat that?
Oh,
Right, I'm back. So,
okay.
yeah, it's tied. So, do you guys want to talk about either imperialism or the ethics of taxation? Okay, so apparently taxation is first. So, I'm not sure. I mean, my economic system doesn't support money, so taxation isn't necessary technically.
Well, we could group in taxation with redistribution.
Well, you guys can cut this out, but I was just here to say that I'm pretty sick, so I'm not gonna join you on this one.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I'm sick as well. So
okay, bye guys. See you next week, probably.
Yeah. Probably. Anyway, yeah. So that's one less person. Yeah, I don't mind. Of course, I'm totally pro redistribution. Taxation is, I don't support money. So, yeah.
I mean, but would you group in taxation as a form of redistributing wealth?
Yeah, I suppose so. As long as it's not like the U.S. where taxes go to big freaking guns, which brings us on to imperialism. But that's like we haven't talked about taxation enough. So,
okay, well, I mean, like, what really makes it? I've heard you once say that paying for things is a tax on wanting something, but does that really?
That was a
fit in?
joke. That was a joke.
Yeah, it's hard.
It was like a shower thought I had. So
it's hard to tell. Believe me. Well, then in that case. You've mentioned once I brought up that the state could be, I mean, on one hand, it could be supported voluntarily, but also, when you actually do use government service, you could just be billed directly if you are the direct user of the service. But you brought up that is taxation in a way, but that's not really. It's just being billed for something that you actually use.
I really don't remember this conversation.
Well, yeah. Well, but I mean, do you really think it's ethical to take people's money then?
Well, no. If there is no money, then I guess it's kind of a vacuum.
I mean, you understand though, capital, resources, all of it, it's,
I think absolutely no taxes at all is really unrealistic. I just think small taxes and what's necessary to tax, like the bare minimum of what the government needs to run.
But that really depends on what kind of government you have. I mean, who's to say that they won't just increase it?
I suppose that is a fair point, but I think, at least in a capitalist system, we should tax the rich so that the poor gets something that isn't just a minimum wage.
But you're not really going to get your necessary. It's not really a good form of wealth redistribution. I mean, it seems like they have a lot of wealth, and they do, but it's not the kind of thing that can truthfully support people. The masses. It's not very.
I think we should just tax the poor more. Just all the poor communities, just tax them more. We should give tax cuts to the rich.
Well, I mean.
No, I'm trolling, but
I figured, yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
tax the poor is better for the rich. Think about the 1%, guys.
I don't think that we should tax the rich more than the middle class or the poor?
I mean, okay,
I
so
think everyone should be taxed the same.
if we were to come to a compromise in a system that we had to participate in a system of government, I believe that it would at least be more of a taxation than the
Hey, guys.
poor.
Oh hey,
Mario. Wait, you're not Mario. Hold on. Okay, so you're both related to Tinks, so
Okay.
you seem to be echoing.
Echo.
Okay,
no, he's
now
not
it's
echoing. It's just faint.
Okay.
I'm using a wireless earbud.
So you mentioned you want to like tax the rich. Of course, you understand that the rich aren't just keeping. I mean, like they actually spend their money on things. They stimulate the economy. I mean, when you tax something, you mentioned that you don't like your money going to big guns and warfare, but you understand that's inevitable in a government system.
Yeah, I'm saying we shouldn't focus directly on that. It seems the US, like what, I'm gonna look it up right now. What, how much does the US?
If I remember correctly, we spent about 3% of our GDP.
54% of all federal discretionary spending goes to military. 2015.
Military spending's good.
How?
I mean, I believe it should also go to many other things.
It's
Oh,
very important.
The other problem with taxing the rich is the rich people very much hire other people to do their work,
it's
which
called
gives people
Yeah.
incomes.
economics.
So if
Yeah.
you tax the rich, that means less jobs for people who are with lower incomes.
Yeah, the rich invest. They give people opportunities. I'm not
The
going to say
rich
that they're
make
all
jobs.
innocent, but like you understand that it's kind of and they offer advice, mentorship. I'm not going to go out and say that they're all actually like angels, but like it's
still
taxing
do
them and redistributing is not a viable way to really solve.
What would you propose?
What do you mean? I'm proposing a nothing.
Okay,
In
fair
place of
enough.
that.
No tax.
I'm
Like,
more
so
of
then
a-
how would
I mean,
more
you
of a
see my
normal
name.
I'm more of
Yeah,
a conservative. I would just want a flat tax, no matter your income.
Yeah, I agree with that. I believe in a small state. I mean, I want low taxes.
I'm not gonna
I believe in
probably
no
should
I
take
think-
libertarian off my tag because I'm probably not that, but I do agree to flat tax.
I think
You
taxes
might
are
be
very
more
very
fusionist.
low,
a necessary evil.
very
I
low.
mean, I just think very low.
But okay, so what would you propose to be? I mean, okay, so you want very low taxes, but then what are you going to spend this on? To clarify that.
What do you
Right.
mean by that?
Question.
What are they gonna
What
spend their taxes on?
needs the taxes? Yeah,
Or what needs to be taxed? I don't know.
not what needs to be taxed. What requires this money? What are you going to spend it on? What is this government going to use it for? If it's
Roads,
Law enforcement.
okay,
law
but
enforcement. That's a good one. I mean,
I will
just
tell you right
roads.
now that roads are very neglected, no matter how high our taxes are.
I'm
Yeah,
not saying roads, but
we should know that. Out of all people,
It can be spent on school.
Um,
It can be spent on anything.
Yeah, but
It's
it's
just
not
needed.
very well spent. You might be
No,
lucky
I-
to go.
No
It's
tax
money.
at all.
I mean like a 5%, 5% less or less flat tax would pay for military, law enforcement, and
Yeah.
basic
So if there's
essentials
no-
for
Well,
government.
Let me ask you this: if there's no taxes at all, how are all those things going to get funded?
Well, first of all, you'd cut a lot of funding for a lot of things, But the idea is either look, I've heard it brought up that people can voluntarily fund the government, which is true, but you can't really rely on that either. So when you directly use a government service, and I mean directly, if you are billed for that, that's fair. That's not a tax. That's simply you paying for a service. And I think that's viable. It's not perfect, but it's something.
To the government.
And if something
What-
isn't being
what service-
used or paid for, then it's not needed, right?
Wait, what service from the government is the government offering for money?
Well, I mean, quite a lot of things, really. If you really want to use the government service
I
of
The postal
various
service. But,
things.
I mean, what else?
yeah, like things like that, I mean,
I mean, because like
You could use them, but typically it's just replaced by free market alternatives. If
So-
people don't want to pay for it, then it won't be used, and it won't be run by the government.
Then that would not be a good source of funding.
That's right. That's why it won't be funded anymore.
So there's no really point of having
and
it.
you want
Then it's not there anymore. If it's not paid for, then they abolish it. What's
in
that?
the in a government that I would prefer, the tax money, something it would go towards is a nice big wall on that southern border. That'd be
Shut
something I
up.
would love to pay my taxes for.
Oh hell yeah, man!
Well, yeah, I mean that'd be great. So,
Like, man. You can't apex climb over that. No Pathfinder. All right, but let's go on.
You mentioned law enforcement, but honestly, how big of a police force do we really need? A lot of it's.
pretty big.
For 360
ACAB.
million people, a kind of big one.
I understand, but we kind of live in a police state, you know. I mean, it's
I think we should have SWAT raids on gang areas and just straight up just eliminate people of interest that we know, like areas that are high populated, and just raid them. A lot of police departments are underfunded and they can't take down these gangs, and they have to just let them have their areas when we could be taking back our cities.
a lot of time that's corruption, though. Yeah, I mean, honestly,
Yeah, that
a lot of
sounds.
the money that
doesn't
goes to these
sound
people
very
is
like the police. That
corruption. It's, I mean,
The only problem with the swatting every single one is
this is why
you're gonna run into the problem of them just going deeper underground.
yeah, and you mentioned all this crime that has to be fixed, but who do you think's making the crime? I mean, obviously, a lot of it's natural, but a lot of this is funded by our own government or has been funded, especially with the drug war. If you remember that, I mean, that was quite literally.
Yeah, and a lot of
gave
people are,
weapons.
when you
a lot
fund a
of people are
terrorist group to
profiting-
get rid of a terrorist group that you funded to get rid of a terrorist group that you funded to get rid of a terrorist group.
and a
That's
lot of
my
people are
point, you know?
funding- Are
The
profiting off
United
of
States is
crime.
just.
They don't want the gangs to end because
Your funding will always
The
go
US needs to
create a
dissolve.
problem. That's going to need more funding to fix that problem, which is then in turn going to create a problem, which you get the point.
The U.S. needs to be dissolved as fast.
No.
Well, that's radical
No.
right there, sir.
Well, yeah, but
Why does it need to be dissolved?
I just think it's. I'm looking back, and this brings us on to imperialism, I guess. But I'm looking back on the several examples of the fascist dictators they have funded in the name of anti-communism. All of the think- Pinochet, Batista, whatever the hell they did to Guatemala.
And that's great and all, but how are you going to get an entire country that is traditionally very, very anti-socialist and anti-leftist to
I'm saying
all
that's
sorts
never
of
going to
politics?
happen. I'm saying it's never going to happen. That's why it
Every
needs to be
government has
dissolved.
done bad things. You know that, right? But we're not
Yeah, but
saying
Well,
you
it's not
should
the
dissolve
entire.
them.
We should fix it, but we shouldn't just
All of our
straight up
history
destroy our
was
nation.
ever.
how are we going to
Because
fix it?
just because
How
a
are we
few
gonna
corrupt
fix it?
politicians exist, we should dissolve the entire United States.
Well,
That's-
to be
No,
fair,
I'd see
most politicians
everything
are corrupt. I'll say. It's not just a few
I mean,
bad
like,
apples as people
over
like
like
to say.
90%, over 90%, I'd say, like if not like over 95.
100% of politicians are corrupt to
I
some
mean,
degree. I'm
you
not
can't
saying they're
say-
all
you can't
absolutely
say that,
terrible people, but
Like,
once they see the
what do
money.
you consider a politician? The mayor of Fair Oaks? Like, oh, dude, yeah, the mayor, man. I mean, not every single politician, but like, I mean, like all like the elitist politicians. You know,
I
the White
assume
House.
that's what
mean-
I'd assume that was what you thought I meant, but
Yeah,
okay.
we're talking about the capital here. I mean, really everybody. They're all in it for
Well, I don't
themselves.
think I don't think every politician's corrupt. But
I'll agree. Not every politician is corrupt, but most are.
A
And
lot,
a
Most
lot
of
of them will become corrupt as time
upwards of 90% of the super high level,
'Cause I think
high-ranking
they-
ones.
I think they
like
receive
the-
blackmail from, I guess, secret societies. Like, I'll just put it at that.
Oh boy! All right. Okay. I mean,
the best politician would be the dictator of Louisiana.
Huey Long.
Our boy, Huey Long.
Boy. It's a little
Wasn't there like that?
tyrannical.
Wasn't there that one guy who's like the emperor of the United States?
Yeah.
Okay, Huey Long was such a horrible dictator that he gave kids from elementary school books. Whoa.
Tax money. I mean, it's true though. I mean, a lot of government services or heavily regulated industries they go up. I mean, they don't really have their prices drop much. It becomes more expensive, which is a sharp contrast from everything else. Which is my point why the less things that are funded by government, well, the cheaper really it is for everybody. I mean, maybe it might be a little easier to afford this and that if the government isn't taking your money and then
No, I mean, I agree.
it back to you.
I'm pretty libertarian. I mean, I agree for the most
I
part. I
don't want regulations.
Hell
No. Screw that shit.
I don't think we're gonna get too much of a debate here. I think for the most part we agree.
That's why I'm trying to get other people. Like the only leftist who's online is kind of busy right now, and everyone else is offline. I think Holden was on for like a brief period of time. I was trying to DM him, and then he was like offline. So to prevent this from being some kind of random background noise fest for an hour, or before everyone decides to leave, what other topics do you think we should talk about?
Well, we could talk about imperialism. You talked about that, right? There's a lot to talk about there.
Didn't we
there could be no end to that, obviously.
Yeah, I guess we did kind of. What are your thoughts on the British imperialism that happened?
Like, for, a few hundred years, you talking about that? Pretty broad thing.
It's too vague.
Which area?
I guess it's true.
I was
thinking Africa.
Because places like Canada and Australia, that wasn't really oppressive.
No, it wasn't.
Well, I think Canada kind of just said, hey, can we be independent?
To be fair, they did create Canada, and that's a crime against humanity on its own, so...
I support imperialism.
Freaking maple syrup. No.
I especially support American imperialism.
I mean, look under like most of the countries. I mean, a lot of them get better under the British Empire.
I believe in American supremacy. As an American, I'm superior to a British person. It has nothing to do with race. It's just the title of citizenship of an American. America as a country, we're superior.
I mean,
GI go home.
And that we have the
right. GI go home.
If there's oil in the Middle East and they're a weaker country and we're stronger, I support us going in there and just taking it. It's ours. That's how I see it.
I mean, honestly, though,
because I'm in the best interests of America.
It ties back to you guys talking about how there's these problems that we need taxes to fix. But, I mean, to be fair, isn't a lot of that caused by our imperialism, right? It's us controlling a lot of these countries, saying what they should not do. A lot of people like to complain about the UN and always say violating our sovereignty, which I suppose they sometimes do with a lot of countries. But
we're not really
the fact that we're like the greatest violation of sovereignty to exist on this entire country.
The US is like what the US does is it bombs a Middle Eastern country, steals its oil, and says you've been diagnosed with democracy.
Well, we bomb the Middle Eastern countries due to Israel.
I mean, the reason we have foreign affairs is because we want it for our interest. Do you think we're in the Chinese Sea because we want to protect the sea people from communism? No.
Yeah, that's my point.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm not saying that we're not protecting these people from communism because it's not in our self-interest.
That was a joke. Protecting the sea people. The sea people from communism.
You gave me an example, and I'm going to use that example because it basically represents every goddamn country in the world, because that's pretty much where the United States has been.
Although, and then, Odson, I know you... Hold on, sorry.
Oof.
How's your weekend been, everyone?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I dug a hole for $20.
I went to 2 Smash tournaments. I got 9.
I bought Minecraft and played on 9B9T.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay.
So, Odson, you said you supported a pretty big military, correct?
Yeah.
And you support a lot of funding for that. So, here's the deal. There's this thing called, they refer to it as the American Empire, and that is our massive collection of military bases and presence across most of the countries in the world. And it's not really, and people say it protects our interests, but in a case that we're actually facing any real threat, they're too thinly spread out to be that effective. So I want you to tell me, this costs a lot of money and is unsustainable. So couldn't we cut down our funding by pretty great margins by just ending this and concentrating our forces back home and only using them to protect ourselves rather than violate other people's human rights and destroying their homelands.
Hold on, how are we violating?
But
the
what about our
human rights
trade
by having
routes?
a military base?
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. I mean, like I said, you essentially have a lot of control, and it's unsustainable. Look, we're paying for it. I mean, we're paying these countries even, in some cases.
But
The
how
fact is,
it going against their human rights by having a military base in their country?
well, it is kind of a bit of a partial occupation.
And the reason we have a military base in their country is because we have friendly relations with their government, which
And
allows the military base in their country.
And you are kind of out of quoting me. I refer to us, having military presence everywhere and, bombing people, rather, as violations of their human rights and killing them and destroying their countries. But we don't really need to do this. I mean, we can just concentrate our forces back home to defend ourselves instead of bombing other people.
Okay, well, if you're going to concentrate our army at home, what's the point of even having it? Our geographical location right now is one of the best in the world. We are 3,000 miles away from any other superpower that could challenge us.
Yeah, there's something called a nuke.
Which is why we don't need to have our army across the entire globe.
Last debate,
right?
Sean,
what's the point of having an army?
To defend yourself. If you actually need to defend yourself.
And if you don't have an army, you make yourself a target to China or Russia.
Do you really think China's going to attack us? And Russia? I mean, here, let me run it down. Russia has a horrible economy that can be crippled.
All right, I take back Russia. I don't think they're a threat. All right.
And China, on the other hand, while seeming like a threat, is so economically tied to Japan, all the NATO countries, including the United States, the EU, that they would never be able to attack us without ruining their own economy and ruining themselves in the process. So do you really think that's likely?
Well, China funds North Korea, and they're expanding into the South Pacific Sea, and the only thing stopping them from expanding into that area is Japan and our bases, and they want them gone so they can expand their naval power, because right now their navy isn't as much, but they show signs within their government and their teachings that they want to overcome the U.S. economically.
Okay, so
become a world superpower.
So that's why we keep our military.
As someone who wants America to remain the world superpower for hopefully forever, that's a threat.
Okay, so you want to use the military to force China to not economically expand.
Yep.
Because you want to remain the top.
Yeah,
okay, but isn't that kind of like an arbitrary title being the top of the world?
If their government wasn't the People's Republic of Communist China, which I know Mark is not communism economically, whatever. I don't want to get into that.
Yeah.
But if their government wasn't known for its horrible, oppressive, authoritarian regime, then I wouldn't have a problem with it. Replace China with Canada there, and it would be fine. But it's because it's China we're talking about is where I find it problematic, and I see them as a threat. So no, I don't want them expanding.
But what are they going to do to us? Are they going to attack us, or are we going to attack them? I mean, do you propose worsening relations to somewhat make that likely, more likely?
Well, with protecting the South Pacific, that would allow them to become more economically independent and therefore ruin our economy with them. I mean,
yeah, but it's just
how dependent we are.
They're still incredibly related to all the NATO countries, the EU, Japan. I mean, it's not very likely, is it?
We're still their biggest customer.
And that's the point. Why would they attack all of us? Who are they going to sell all that to?
I like the trade war against China. I feel like
that only hurts people back home. To be honest, I mean, the problem is all the countries are too economically tied to have a major war with each other. It's just a fact.
I don't think there's gonna. I'm not saying there's gonna be a World War III in the next even 5 years. I don't think there is gonna be a World War III anytime really soon. And because I don't think wars are fought with soldiers like nowadays much. I think there's ideological wars such as Cold Wars that are happening right now as we speak within our own governments and are brainwashing our youth. I mean, I think all that. I mean, I know, but ideologically, I think they're. I mean, I can't even say that word right. I don't know why.
Ideologically.
There we go. I think they're a threat to American sovereignty and being number one. I don't know. That's just the way I see it. So I mean, I don't care.
I understand your point. China is an authoritarian hell state, and it's pretty horrible to live under it. But the problem is, if we were to really step up and really show ourselves as a potential threat to their power, isn't that just a greater way for their government to utilize us as an enemy to further make their population accept their own government and hate us and despise us even more? Therefore, giving their government that we all hate rightfully more power over them, lessening the likelihood that there could be change? I mean, we're kind of creating a problem then. We're making it worse, really. We're giving their government power through that.
But giving them the South Pacific would give them more power.
Well, I don't think it's
The
our
last thing they need
our
is more
problem
power.
if the people of China don't want to revolt against their government. I mean, they've had riots and revolutions that have failed, but I mean,
Mm.
the people of China are happy with their government out of fear. I mean, not happy, but like accepting of their government out of fear. So I
Also,
mean,
if there was a failure in the South Pacific, wouldn't that make the seem the Chinese government is weaker than the people think if it has a loss? I mean, it's seen out through history. If a government has a military loss, the people are not happy with that.
Yes, but then they'll just blame it on the American imperialists. Yeah, if you understand. I mean,
But you can't just keep on blaming the American imperialists for all your losses.
well, I mean, you can.
At some point, your people are gonna see, hey, your government is trash, and we want a new one.
Look, I mean, if there is a genuine threat, if people are gonna die, right? I guess yes, we could step in to protect them. But do you really think there's gonna be a war and they're just gonna control all? They're really gonna take over all this land, or do you think it's a little bit of kind of fear mongering by our own news and media? I mean, it's a good thing to take in consideration. How much of this is overblown? People always talk about Russia as this massive threat,
oh,
and
yeah,
while they do have massive stockpiles of nuclear arms,
Russia's the boogeyman of the media.
yeah,
I mean,
I mean,
Russia's
kinda
the
U.S.
worst.
media
I don't
is
care
just
about
kinda
Russia.
blows
Yeah,
everything
they're
out of
not-
proportion.
a real threat. I mean, yeah. I mean,
The only people that really have to see Russia as a threat is Ukraine.
yeah, I mean that's true. But I think the same applies
No,
for
I don't-
China.
I
Yeah,
don't
they're
think
powerful, they're big, and they have problems.
they're not
But-
a war threat.
But I just don't think people should overblow all their interests into this massive, new
Here's the
Nazi
thing.
Germany. You know,
No, I
I mean,
understand.
it's
Here's
not
the-
like
So
they're gonna invade everybody.
I mean, they have a population, obviously, as we all know, crazy high. I mean, it's over 1 billion. So I mean, I just thought of this all in my head into words, and now I'm trying to figure out how to put it into words. But it's not like a really threat of like right now. It's what they could become if they if they beat us economically. And I'm having an echo right now. I hear something. Anyways,
Yeah, I do
if
too.
they do eventually become the number one, Han, what is that, dude? It's really annoying. If they become the number one economic superpower, and they're number one in the world, and they have more possible military capacity than us because of the population, if they industrialize and get, you know what I mean, like they have more possibility of an army than us due to the population. I mean, they could in the next 50 years pose a serious war threat. I mean, I'm not saying right now because I mean, it's more of a buildup. A lot of China isn't even modernized yet. I mean, a lot of it is, of course. It's very, very high tech, but not all of it. I mean, China's pretty big, so I mean, I don't know.
And also with a larger economic output from China, you'd see an even larger presence in Africa with China, having their influence all spread over Africa, Latin America. And if you replace the U.S., well, U.S. is going to lose influence and their ideals over a lot of other foreign countries. And instead going to be replaced by Chinese ones.
But
which
why
are
do we
so
need to exert
democratic.
our ideals over all these countries? I mean,
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. So, every single country that we have occupied would much rather be under our control compared to any other power. I mean, that's just a fact. I mean,
yes, but why should they be under our control then?
Because if we don't, someone else will take it. It's honestly how it is. In imperialism, when there's other imperialist countries who are after the same territories you are, sometimes it's either I take control or they do.
So
I mean-
if they were to have control, right, then can't they justify it by the same reason? It's justification because the other guy's gonna do it. I mean, it's a two-way thing. You're creating a problem out of thin air, really, over fear that the other guy's gonna do it. Then it's not a very solid argument.
Well, it's better. It's better for the people. If you're looking for the interest of the people of the place that let's just say, like Hawaii, pre-occupation, as an example. So if you're looking at what's in the best interest of the islanders, it would be in the best interest for us to take it, other than Japan. So either look at it from the U.S. government perspective. Either we take it and take the benefits of occupying the land when it comes to production. I mean, whatever bananas, whatever whatever the benefits are of imperialism, which there's many, compared to Japan doing it and limiting our control. I mean, overall, I mean, I see it as a necessary evil trade-off. I think a lot of the time, I think it's better if we take it compared to someone else. So I mean,
I was saying, you said necessary trade-off. That reminded me of the phrase necessary evil, which brings me to, what are your thoughts, everyone? What are your thoughts on offshoring and outsourcing?
If it's pretty much consensual to everybody involved, yeah, it's
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, I don't see a
Okay,
problem
well, I
with
mean,
it.
offshoring companies' workplaces to China, where they're in sweatshop conditions at the moment. I agree China's a hellhole, essentially, but I agree for slightly different reasons.
Well,
I mean,
that's
I think
Chinese policy on why they're in such bad conditions.
Yeah, it's true.
I
It's
think-
not the U.S.
I think that whole
telling
idea
you,
as a
"Oh, I
whole-
want you in bad conditions." It's just China saying, "Oh, you want workers for cheap? I give you workers for cheap."
the whole idea is that people are working in sweatshop conditions and earning like what, 50 cents a week? Not a week. That's dumb. 50 cents an hour.
Yes, but the problem is you're not tackling the problem, you're tackling like a symptom. If that makes sense.
Okay, so what?
Yeah, I mean, it's the Chinese policy that allows that to happen. It's not the fault of foreign nations.
I mean, it's not
that the
just China.
sweatshops happen.
I'd presume it's not just China.
Really?
Yeah, I'd assume it's in other places, but mostly China.
Yeah, I mean you're not wrong about that, but
It's all of Asia. It happens.
Indonesia.
I think India too. I
Thailand.
believe.
I've been to Bangkok. I've seen those sweatshops. They are not nice, and Thailand does not care. Okay.
and that's my point. You're tackling
I
the
think
symptom, not
And I
the
think the
solution.
only
problem.
reason this is happening is because companies want to drive down wages for workers so that they can make more of a profit.
That's my point. That's the symptom, not the problem.
Okay, then
that's
what's-
generating this.
Then what's
The problem
the
is their local governments, really. I mean, they're allowing this to happen. It's
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
true.
exploitation of people, really, and really, and this comes back even to the everything, really, including the China debate. You're tackling the symptom, not the problem, which is their government. There could be
Yeah,
a
but
lot
their
of solutions
government
that
isn't our
tackle the
problem.
problem, not the symptoms of it.
We
And
don't gotta. It's not up to us to go and fix everyone's problems.
It isn't, but you can pretty much. The problem is tackled by their own people, and if you want to work with that, go ahead. But
Their government
when
is
you-
their people's problems.
When you face off against imperialism with imperialism, you're creating a bigger problem because you're being a problem. Therefore, I mean, I don't understand how being the problem will solve the problem. You understand?
No,
just-
I get that, but I mean the problem's gonna be there either way. So I mean, either you can reap the benefits of it or don't and be weaker as a result, just to be, well, I guess I'm more moral than these countries.
I believe it's just a symptom of capitalism. Is that it's going to happen eventually, and these kids. I know this is very, very, very on brand for me to talk about, But I believe that, I mean, sure, even these governments allow this to happen, but I believe if there was no capitalism to outsource and offshore these people to different countries, then I don't think there would be a problem.
I
You do know
unironically
there are countries other than capitalist countries do imperialism, right? Like, it's just not under the same name.
I didn't think
And
we
is
were
our
talking
country
about
really
imperialism.
capitalist? Be honest.
I mean,
for the
Yes.
most
do you think the Soviets like
Corporatist
took over other land to liberate it and
We weren't
spread
talking about
Soviet democracy?
we weren't talking about imperialism. I believe we were talking about offshoring
When
companies.
you said imperialism
Did I?
or the need to do it,
I
was
would
under
assume
capitalism.
said-
that you consider offshoring a form of imperialism, wouldn't you?
To some extent, I guess.
Yeah.
I've always thought about it as kind of a different thing, though, caused by companies in general.
Okay, but aren't
Maybe-
companies directly linked with the government and corporatism, which isn't good, obviously.
I mean, that's kind of a thing that happens to lead. That's a thing that comes from capitalism. It's kind of inevitable, especially in a free market situation. If we're gonna have to be capitalists, we should probably take on a sock dimmy kind of thing. But even that's kind of stupid because it's not tackling the issue at hand, which is capitalism itself, in my opinion.
Why you talk about capitalism, but where's the capitalism? I mean, is it the United States? Because we certainly aren't a free market capitalist country.
Okay, I didn't
Are
say
we?
free market. I said capitalism as a whole.
But it's not really capitalism, is it either? In its truest form, it's corporatism. It's Keynesian control. It's not free market. It's not true capitalism. It's not. I mean, really, what we're
Anything,
talking
right?
about is government. It's all government, which is the
Anything
problem.
from social democracy onward is definitely capitalism.
You guys want to talk about 9/11?
No.
9/11 was stupid. And whether or not it was
jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams.
Aluminum.
even though it doesn't like
Aluminium.
it's amazing how we're still debating whether or not it was started by Bush. Hold on.
It's a joke.
It wasn't just Bush though.
Shut up.
We all know Oprah did it.
Mm.
I don't know. I'm getting tired. I'm gonna
All right, go
get to the gym, then I'm gonna go to sleep.
fair enough.
I don't know.
I
Is
should
there anything else
probably
we
go to
want
the
to talk
gym.
about?
So now that the commie's away, let's all make fun of him.
What, you like to share your money with other people? Ha, nerd.
Cringe.
Oh man, I love paying for my water bottle.
Hey guys, did you know Revolutionary Catalonia did this, did that? I like how you can hear us too. It's great. In an anarcho-communist society. Oh god.
In a true anarcho-communist society, the U.S. would be seized by a foreign power, and we would all be under a different control. Because in a true anarchist state, with no military, no nothing, guerrilla warfare wouldn't save us against a massive coordinated army invading the United States. So,
Well, I think guerrilla warfare in the
if
U.S.
we were to
definitely works.
establish communism, we would be living under a foreign nation.
Yeah. Oh,
We would be living under.
Well, I mean, anarcho-communism. There's really no nation.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah. Yeah. I should really hope. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. God.
if you think about
Otherwise,
guerrilla
oops,
warfare in
looks
the
like
U.S. would.
Otherwise,
never
oops, looks like
own
we're the
guns.
USSR.
Oh god. It's, I think guerrilla warfare works fine.
Yeah.
Can you imagine every single house in the U.S. has a firearm.
We have
Every
more-
single adult in the
we have-
U.S. having a good working firearm.
We have more guns than people. I don't think we're gonna
Yeah.
be just conquered by something.
Yeah, if
Well, I mean,
No.
I don't know,
I mean,
don't
it's
It
been
ain't gonna
proven to
happen.
work in the past. I think again, ISIS. I hate ISIS, but technically they've.
ISIS
Oh
is
god.
pretty irrelevant.
Well,
Yeah.
as the Japanese said, there's a rifle behind every blade of grass.
I would say thanks
Okay.
Trump, but I think for ISIS being gone, I think I have to go thank you Israel, because I mean that was
Oh
pretty much their
god.
accomplishment.
Wait, aren't you like anti? Don't you not support Israel?
No, I don't.
Okay.
But I mean, it kind of is the reason why they're not there. So.
Would you really thank them for that though? Like, are they really that
Well, I
active of a
mean,
member in defeating them?
Oh, I mean,
well,
they've been right there.
They're gone because our military took them out for their interests. I mean, I really don't think we would care as much as we did if it weren't for Israel. So.
Do you think we should fund them that much as we do?
No, not at
Or
all.
at all?
I
Okay,
don't
thank you. Yeah.
It's way too much.
Do you think we should fund them at all?
Not really. No.
Alright, yeah, I respect that, yeah.
I mean, I don't really see any reason to.
Debate 1 is active, by the way.
Yeah, their government's a little, their government's kind of played us a few times.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And what they're doing to their neighbors. I mean, obviously their neighbors aren't actually exactly innocent either, but it's kind of like...
they're both evil, man. I
Yeah.
just wish we were involved in. I mean, we talked about this the last debate. I don't think you're here, but I mean, so we already kind of talked about this. But I wish we weren't involved at all. It shouldn't be our conflict. We shouldn't have to choose between Israel, Palestine, any of that. It shouldn't be our problem.
Yeah, there are some real problems at hand, and I think that I think a lot of the people of both countries are a little less hateful of each other than it's made out to seem. I mean,
Oh,
I know
yeah,
there's a lot of hate, but I think a lot of that's just between their like a few smaller elements in them.
It's like with the two-party system. Like
Oh,
they want division, and they want Democrats to
think-
hate Republicans, and they want Republicans to hate Democrats. But
If you
honestly,
ask
I
me-
have Democrat friends.
It-
I know. Hold on, can I finish what I was saying? I
Yeah.
know Democrats who have Republican friends. I mean, it's the same down there. I mean, I don't think it's. I mean, you know what I mean? So
If you
Yeah.
ask me, I think this whole two-party system is bullshit.
no,
In fact, I don't think the U.S. is a democracy at all. Far from it, actually.
It's a republic.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
even then,
constitutional.
democracy's like dangerous,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Hold on, wait.
You can't trust the masses, man, when they get. In
I
the
mean,
mob.
alright, like people say, oh yeah, our democracy depends on good people looking for everybody's interest, but oh boy, And okay, look, I'm not gonna go down the whole road like, oh my god, I am the only good person in this country. Look, no. My point is that so many people have different views of the world that it inevitably leads to a lot of infighting and a lot of problems. It's just how it goes. I mean, people have different views, that happens.
But a third, I guess you could say, a third party independent, just to say, would never really have an actual realistic chance of winning. I mean, to be honest.
And how good of a party? I mean, we can see the effects of a two-party system. There's no ideological consistency in any of these parties. They've changed over the years, which is natural, but they've changed so much. They can change what they stand for. What kind of party is that? It's just a bandwagon, really.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't consider myself a Democrat or a Republican. I think if you subscribe to the two-party system, I mean,
Yeah.
you're just contributing. But I mean, I will say this: I will be voting Trump in 2020. So just want to put that out there because I'll be old enough to vote. So I'm happy about that.
Remember, a third-party vote is a wasted vote.
It is.
Oh god,
I mean,
Yeah,
if
it is.
everyone votes for it, maybe not, probably not. But
I feel like
it
that's...
just can't. They can't have the money to advertise their own
Yeah.
situation.
Oh yeah, so here's a money problem. Well, look, I think people should be able to. They should just vote for what they want because if not, then they're always like, okay, well, it's never gonna win. It's not gonna win because you're not putting any faith in it.
Okay, here's the thing. The problem with the system isn't with people voting. It's the system itself, and you're not going to change the system by voting.
You're partially right by that. I mean, what are we voting on? We're voting on what the political elite want us to vote on.
Yeah.
So
So people will continue voting for the lesser of two evils until the system's fixed, because that's the way it's viewed.
yeah. Well,
And then you have the blind sheep who are completely allegiance to one side and just hate the other one, and those are the tools of they're the pawns of the elite. Honestly, it doesn't matter what side they're on.
stupid
Right.
libtards.
Yeah.
Freaking conservatives.
Servitards. Yeah, you get the point. I mean, my point is that
It's like everyone, a bunch of uninformed people saying conservatives are mega gay, liberals are mega gay, nothing's happening.
I mean, okay. You said that it's like the lesser of two evils. I mean, that's what I've been advocating for all this time. It's that the lesser of two evils isn't a solution to a problem.
No,
Yeah,
it's not at all. And
Yeah.
that's
Wait, I wouldn't want the lesser of two evils. I'd want the best of two goods.
Best of two goods, yeah. Well, you'll have to fight for that good, though, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
We don't have it, and we haven't had it, and in the
I'd
foreseeable
like
future,
one good option,
it'll come out,
please.
so.
Please, American government, give me one good option.
And the important questions are never up for debate, right? Because and if they are, it's only a moment in the spotlight because it's too radical. It's too.
Yeah, the Overton win is also a shithole, useless.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand they want to maintain control. They want to stay a either super right wing or moderate right wing country.
What? I didn't hear what he said.
The American government's Overton window, maybe it was maybe it was a little more left leaning, but it's just gone further and further right, and it's just hasn't been in support of any kind of thing like that. At least, and I do think there are a few ways to get the Overton window to move to the left, and that would be kind of progressively by means of introducing a topic that may be a little bit outside the scope of it, but kind of in increments. Or you could just be like, okay, so we should get rid of the government, and watch it be like.
Yeah, I mean,
That's not happening.
We've dug a deep hole for ourselves. You can't really just phase everything out instantly.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, it's not instantly, but it's like you bring up the bigger picture and then you introduce what ideas could happen. Or, we could just take our pitchforks and cocktails and be like, dead. But
do you guys think there will be a civil war in I guess I say our lifetime?
Yes.
In our country.
Maybe.
I would hope not. I mean,
I'd hope not too, but it seems almost inevitable.
I hope not. Like I said,
I don't know. Probably Rwanda.
Some people want war. Sometimes it's necessary, for the people to rise up. But I think there's a difference between civil war and revolution, if you know what I mean. And even then, if possible, I would hope for neither. But
yeah.
The thing is, when people talk of civil war, it's like, how can we go against other people in my own country? It's like you're not taking anything to the people who are really, hurting you. You're instead just hurting your fellow countrymen. And I mean, how twisted is that, really? You're just you want to kill people because some person on the news goes, these people disagree with you, so you must hurt them. I mean, it's like,
and you're really making the problem worse. I mean, we're already seeing a big political divide. Do you think a civil war would make everything all nice and pretty? No, it would make the divide god darn way bigger.
The only thing that would
doing that
fix it is a revolution against the government, but people wouldn't unite because they won't unite with people of the opposite side.
Yeah, it would mostly be like
with identity politics.
Be like a French
people
Revolution.
Can just unite under the title of being an American, not a African American, not a native. I mean, not a black. I mean, whatever it may be, Democratic, Republican, whatever. If they can just unite under, who cares about race? Who cares about class? Oh, I'm rich. Oh, I'm poor. Oh, you rich scum. Well, you're poor. This is. I mean, just being an American. I mean, but that's the thing. Like, there's a big fall like against nationalism, and I love nationalism. And don't get me wrong,
of course
I
you do.
absolutely love it.
Yeah,
you've made it quite
too,
clear that you love nationalism
because it unites people, no matter what, under one flag, and it's a beautiful thing. It really is, and I'm a huge patriot, and I wish people would unite under being an American, but
I mean,
Yeah, I know.
Be American or die.
Yeah.
No,
I personally
anyway,
think,
that's not what you said.
I mean, we should. Okay, look, I don't care if people are nationalists. I'm not too really obsessed with the concept. I just think people should respect that nobody's gonna be the same as each other. Just try to accept everybody as a person, you know?
Yeah.
Don't try to force
no, I
too many
agree.
labels. And I understand there's gonna be culture, there's gonna be these cultural divides, and that's
I
just
wish
a
people
thing.
could,
You know,
unify under
to
the
an
label
extent,
of
that's just biology, in my opinion.
Well, I don't know what you mean by that. I just my point is that just be who you want to be, and don't try to abide by a label, right? I mean, don't try to give other people labels in the effort to find someone to hate, like
don't
so many
exclude
people do.
others by
Yeah.
your given label to that person or group of people.
Yeah, I think both left and right libertarianism can coexist. I believe. I think.
Yeah.
In different societies.
But left and right authoritarianism can't coexist.
No, with anything else. So yeah, at all.
Yeah, economics, I think, are the ultimate divide.
Although I don't think. Okay, look. So a lot of people go, "Oh, right unity or left unity," but it's like that's ridiculous, honestly.
Yeah, neither. How about neither? How about American unity?
I say if
God,
possible.
I wish we could do that.
I think just unify as people and be who you
No,
want
I
to be.
do
Really,
think you have to have something to unify other than being just a person.
Because I mean, look at
The nation.
look at the
Nation would be a great way to unify people.
the Civil
We've done it
War.
before.
The Civil War. I mean, there's blacks and whites fighting on the same side. You can union as a pride for your nation and we the people. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't think there has to be, I guess, requirements like many.
My point is, I'm not trying to say that you can't call yourself an American. Obviously, I'm proud to be one, but my point of it is that in doing that, don't try to be proud of other people's accomplishments in the sense, and don't try to hate other people just because they aren't identifying as that. You understand? I mean, I have a problem as an excuse to hate others. I mean.
Well, I'm not saying to hate other people, but it's mostly just as something to unite people. If you have nothing to unite over, then why would you unite?
It is true. I mean, I think it's too often used as and it's too often gatekeeped. Like it can be used as it's a double-edged sword, if you understand. Yeah,
it depends on how you. In America, I mean, for the most part in our history, it's mostly been used as a unifying force before the Cold War. Then it went overboard.
I mean,
before that, I mean, when people fought in World War II, I mean, look at the Japanese Americans, the 442nd Battalion, as we talk in English. They fought for our country. They didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't fight because, oh well, we're humans too.
I mean, I just, like I said, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, I don't think people should be forced to abide by it. I don't think people should be forced to not abide by it. I mean, if you want to, if it can be good, it can be bad. It can be used for good, but it can also be used to, like, actually, as Comrade Zero has pointed out in a chat, nationalism teaches you to take pride in what you haven't done and hate people you have never met. I partially agree with that because it isn't necessarily always like that. But it can be used for that. Within the Middle East,
if the government's big enough, maybe the effect. Maybe it depends on how big the government is. If it's like maybe not directly, but I mean like they maybe have enough time to fund more propaganda, or maybe you'll if you're a super nationalist piece of shit, you'll think of it more as educational information that promotes the well-being of our country. But I think that's bullshit because it's propaganda is propaganda.
You don't need propaganda for nationalism. I mean, God, there's a lot less propaganda before World War II. And then after World War II, there was a lot more propaganda, but that...
Hey, I'm not saying you need it. I'm saying I believe it's also it's only likely under nationalism.
I guess what I'm trying to say is people shouldn't be nationalists for the sake of being. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Be nationalist if you think that your country does good. I don't think that any country has...
I mean, okay, I would draw the line at patriotism for that because yeah, I'm definitely patriotic for my country. But am I supportive of my own government? No, of course not. I mean,
this whole government's a mess. We agree for two different reasons entirely, but we can both agree that it's not good at the moment.
Oh, but that's not what I'm saying, is it? I'm trying to say that people don't gatekeep, you know, and people say, oh, you don't support us going in the Middle East? Well, move. It's like, well, what's wrong with highlighting a problem about your country, right? That's what I'm talking about, this kind of toxic nationalism where it's, you don't support it, you know, you're not a real American, right? That's the bad thing I'm talking about, you know? You don't support us go bombing the Middle East, you know? Well, that's not American of you.
It's not one of our American views to be able to disagree with the government.
Yeah. I mean, but yes, my people don't always. So. Anybody disagree with that, or?
Wait, sorry, say that again. I was talking to my mom.
Oh no, that's what I said last. That's what I said last.
What did you say last? Forgot.
About the people using it to gatekeep, you know.
Oh.
Gatekeeping identity.
That's.
Taxation.
Yeah, no, I don't agree with that, but
I don't think anyone's ever going to unite under any one single banner.
In my opinion, being an American, that's not being an American, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, my point is just being an American is, you know, it's not really a well-defined thing. It's, you want to be an American, just come here and you're an American.
That is one
Not
of the great things
right
about America.
Yeah, and that's all right. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, God, go try and go be Nazi in Germany and say, "Oh, I'm a proud German," says the Jewish man.
Yeah, I mean,
Berlin.
But don't gatekeep its ideas. Oh, obviously there's ideas behind the concept, but I just don't think that it should be associated with government. And
no, I agree. Yeah,
to oppress others, you know.
Yeah, no, don't associate it with government.
Like if someone in China wants to be proud to be a Chinaman, go ahead. I mean, that doesn't mean that they have to agree with their government and every single thing they've done without their entire history. I can have pride in America and be pride for being an American and not have to agree with. I mean, let's just say the Middle Eastern bombings. I mean, you know what I mean. So you don't have to feel responsibility for every single bad action.
A great example is Poland. I mean, Polish people are proud to be Polish, but they certainly do not agree with their government quite a bit.
There's people who are proud to be German, but I mean, they don't go around saying, "Man, dude, I love the Holocaust, man. That was awesome." I mean,
yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, some do, but most don't.
Well, yeah, some.
I mean,
those are jailed.
Most of those people are probably actually American.
In my opinion, unfairly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess don't put too much importance on your identity, because at the end of the day,
no, I agree.
You're not very different from that person who is the other identity. You know what I mean?
Yep.
In the end of the day, you're also people, right?
That's true.
Don't hold it against someone else, right?
Except the Canadians.
Except the Canadians, yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah. I'm probably gonna have to go soon, by the way, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go soon too.
I'm kidding about that.
Yeah, me too.
Kidding.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Well, someone else better join before everyone else leaves. And it's just me and Adam.
We're not allowed to leave?
No, I mean, like,
that's kind of.
I kind of want this debate.
That sounds like kind of an authoritarian law, right?
Yeah, that violates my NAP, by the way.
Everything violates your NAP.
Yeah, you're right.
You breathe too hard down my neck. Time to make nuke you.
That's
the
right.
anarchy and the NAP will guarantee my liberty.
This is why I can't take ANCAP seriously.
Well, I'm not one. Don't worry.
I know. But every time I hear a mention of the NAP, that's how I got to know it was through the bullshit
it's not
lie that is
just
anarcho-capitalism. And I'll rephrase that. anarcho-capitalism.
I want to once again iterate that in your society, to force the kind of things that you would do, that you would need a hierarchy, therefore... But never mind. You know.
Now, what were you going to say?
You would need a hierarchy to really kind of force that kind of radical change. You know.
Well, I mean, during the revolution, there needs to be some kind of intense force.
And then during the revolution, a tyrant appears, such as Stalin, and it happens in every.
People will always take advantage of that. Yeah, Odson's right.
There would
Yeah.
always be someone that
True.
takes advantage.
You know, I'd hate to bring up this whole argument again, which I'm not. I'm going to bring up Ukraine instead. So, in Ukraine, it
I love
happened.
the Holodomor.
Ukraine from 19 something to 1918, 3 years before 1918. It doesn't matter anyway. It happened, and it was quite successful. I believe that what they did achieve was pretty good. They could have used less mutualism, though.
If it was successful, then why isn't it around right now?
Also,
The USSR was technically successful. Why isn't it around right now? It must not be successful now, is it?
Well,
It wasn't.
Depends how you define successful.
Yeah, it's kind of like immediately saying that, like, oh, this country isn't successful because it doesn't exist. I mean, there are plenty of unsuccessful countries that still do exist. Venezuela.
I mean, the USSR's impact on the world is still going on to this day. I mean,
Yeah.
the fact that we have
The fact that they've left a lasting imprint on the world means that they're at least to some degree successful, even if we don't agree with the stances on it.
Okay.
Well, their military aspect was very successful.
I don't know.
Everything else was trash.
Finland,
their military influence was fine. I mean, in a communist society, the only thing that's ever developed is military.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Tell me a communist invention that wasn't
Tetris.
related.
Tetris. No.
Well, I'm gonna have to go, but I'm gonna leave one last thing. Mark, you mentioned that in Ukraine, I know there's a true communist society for a while.
They
right?
had a revolution, and no one rose up as a tyrant. Is what I was trying to say.
Yes. So you said they could have used less mutualism.
Yeah, I
so
don't. I just
your
don't.
idea is forcing the ideals of anarcho-communism upon other people, therefore creating a hierarchy, therefore it not being anarchism. But
to be fair, that was a joke, but I think he recognized that too. So
I think he cut off at the very last second. I didn't hear that last word.
no, I think that was the point.
Oh.
Left.
Yeah, that was the part of the joke.
Well, I had a good debate, guys. I definitely
Same.
changed my mind on a few things. I feel
Yeah.
like you guys.
Like what?
I feel like everyone brought up pretty good points. Hopefully I did too. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So I think, if we're gonna get into what, I feel like I sort of changed my mind on. I think hyper nationalism is a little can be, I guess we'll say, toxic.
Yeah,
same.
nationalism as a whole, like
No,
maybe in
no,
small
just
quantities.
hyper-nationalism.
In
Only
small
hyper, 'cause
quantities,
I
it's
only
okay to
hyper.
be proud of your like.
For the most part, I love nationalism.
Yeah.
Honestly, but I do agree. In excessively.
When it starts excluding other people, that's when you start going.
Well, I think nationalism as a concept is exclusive
Yeah.
to the people.
Well,
who
I mean,
are
like,
a part of that, I
thing.
guess
I mean, like,
Yeah.
sending some Jews to a nice little camp a little few miles away, or making some people go pick some cotton.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Good debate, everybody. I'm gonna get to the gym and then get to bed. So see you guys.
Yep. See ya. Good job.
Well, I sure hope someone joins. Seems like it's entirely text-based now. As much as I'd love to whip out OBS and record that, but first requiring to install it because I don't have it on my computer presently at the moment, just to continue this debate, I don't know. So far I'm only recording it with Craig here, so... Well, I guess that's it, everyone. And I gotta find the command again because I... Right, hold on. I gotta find it. Goodbye, everyone. See you next week.